Hello, my name is Omma. It's Monday, August 6, 2018 at 5:21 p.m. in Toronto. So I am going to talk about the harassment and the targeting that I'm experiencing. I tweeted some tweets today and I linked it to another article of another woman who is extremely educated, Harvard educated, a lot of accomplishments, a lot of accolades by politicians and so on, recognized by politicians and so on, and who, out of the blues, inexplicably stuck a knife into her doorman in a very expensive neighborhood. So she as well went to U of T and some other universities. So that's a similar situation to Rahini Besasar, who went to York University and had an MBA as well. So the question needs to be asked, is it mental illness? Or is it, as Rahini Besasar claims, she's been experimented on? Now, I know I'm being experimented on because the setup for me to be monitored is based on a lot of false information and a lot of false files being created. The reason for that would be to cover up an experimentation. Because to experiment on somebody, you need to control the environment and you need to control the circumstances, both of the person who's been experimented on and the people who are doing the experimenting, who are participating in the experimentation. There needs to be a method of control, and that control is 24-hour surveillance. And in my case, that the need for that seemed to come about as a result of fake files being generated about me, fake evidence, lies, and I heard lies being told by the police as well, like they found me in a drain somewhere. Lies by family members, lies by friends, co-workers, and so on, residents in the building in which I live. Anybody who comes in contact with me, they're supposed to lie because I'm a target. Because the knowledge out there is that I'm in this program, this experiment, and in order to cover the experiment, this cover needs to take place. This cover needs to be generated, and part of that cover is the consistent set of lies to cover what's going on underneath it. So there are some scenarios that's playing out that is being used to try to blackmail me into acting the way that the experiment should go, I'm suspecting. Let's assume there is an experiment as a fact. It is my very strong suspicion that I'm being experimented on, almost in my mind as a fact. But let's assume it is a fact. All the factors in play in my targeting fits in as pieces of a puzzle. It fits the strategy that would be used to cover the experiment. So in my case, I was flagged based on lies. A worker in the building who is friends with somebody in the 42nd Division kept calling the cops, and then he worked with residents in the building, my neighbors way back 10, 15 years ago. And they did the same thing. And they lied and said I did certain things, they heard certain things. Then they used lasers and microwaves on me. Now, this doesn't have to be used inside of my home. Now, to prove this is being used inside of my home, you'd have to prove a through-the-wall technology. Of course, lasers go through walls. But as you're walking the street, tasers and lasers could definitely be used on you. Based on my health issues and the marks in my body, I'm sure that I am being tasered and lasered even as I sleep at night. So this is a covert means of making you angry, inciting anger, instigating situations, increasing your temper in order for you to act out, in order for you to verbalize, in order for you to vent. Because when you feel anger, you need to express your anger. You need to take care of it constructively. I do it by venting. So what's going on here is I'm being recorded inside of my home by neighbors who are going to the cops or whatever office on a municipal level, signing me out, or even through the court. I heard Budrin put me through the court as a ward of the court. So people are going to make court submissions, and they're signing me out, and they're reporting on me. So underneath all of that reporting is this covert program that's being run to generate the misinformation and quote unquote evidence that they're reporting. So if they hear me swearing inside my home, they would record it, stand outside my door, record it, call the cops and say, "Gee, I think she's going off on one of her mental health episodes." When really what they're doing is they're harassing me verbally, emotionally, physically stalking me, spying on me, and using lasers and tasers on me. This is what's going on underneath. So of course there is no mental illness. This is a cover for trafficking. The violations of remote rape is an intense crime that's being committed remotely and hard to prove. Will it incite anger? Well, of course it will. How do you take care of that anger? Well, in me, I personally, I vent. I do what I'm doing right now. I expose it. I tweet about it. I blog about it. I write emails. I take people to court. Violence is not an option with me because I don't believe in violence. I don't believe violence resolves anything at all. None whatsoever. I do yoga, I meditate, I take care of the anger that will be caused by constantly being violated. Constantly. It's a natural human reaction. Being angry is not a mental illness. It's part of what it means to be human. You're supposed to get angry when somebody violates you, because anger is a motivator to action, constructive action for change. Again, violence is not an option for me because, let's face it, what Rohini Besasar did, even though she was, I believe, pushed to do so, her buttons were pushed and pushed and pushed and pushed and pushed. In my opinion, the people who were pushing her buttons were supposed to be the ones who were charged with the crime, not her. She was the victim. But having said that, she crossed the line and she killed somebody. What it probably did for her was, in a moment of anger, she did it, she reacted. But let's face it, in the long run, what happened? Nothing was resolved. The issue of being stalked, of being targeted, all the issues underlying the reason why she was targeted is not going to be dealt with. Instead of being in prison, if she hadn't committed that act, she could have been out of prison and trying to resolve whatever it is that's causing her to be targeted in the first place. So it really doesn't make sense. Although in a weird sort of way, her story exposed the crime of her being targeted and being experimented on, and being pushed to the point where she does commit a violent act. It exposed the program being run in the background that made that happen. But this is not the way to do it. This committing a violent act is not the way to do it. It's not the way to do it. What is the way to do it is what I'm doing, talking about it, providing evidence of what's going on, and on an ongoing basis, consistently. Making change from the inside of the system, because it's the system, it's failures in the system, infiltration of people in the system, being paid off. The corruption of the system that is causing this to happen. So there's no point in violating one human being in a moment of anger, thinking it's going to make a difference. It's not going to make a difference. This is what I needed to say today, because every day there is a progression of my being buried, quote unquote. I heard the term buried. We're going to bury you. And this time when Stip, and this cop's name keeps popping up over and over and over and over again. When he picks you up this time, you're not coming back because he already has an order to remove you from your home. We have this criminal record, this file about you, and we don't want you in the community anymore because you really used to be a prostitute. Of course, I'm not, never was. Like Rohini Besasad, she's not a prostitute, never was. Although they portrayed her and tried to paint her in the end like as she was. Not mentally ill. There is no mental illness. The stress is being taken care of, so I'm not going to react as a result of being stressed out. In a violent way. I'm not a risk to society. I'm not a risk to myself because now I have a reason to live. If you were saying that I was a risk to myself, you being the perpetrators, if it was being said that I'm a risk to myself, there is no risk to myself. There is a reason to live, and that reason is to expose what's going on. So I have a huge reason to live. So these things are lies, and if it's coming from this building, they are more so lies. They're even bigger lies. Because the people in this building want me removed because I'm exposing the trafficking ring that's underlying this program. My targeting started with this ring, and my targeted escalated because I'm exposing the ring, the remote ring that remote trafficking ring that's being carried out in this building. This is the reason I'm so heavily targeted. So one of the strategies that the gangs in this building is using is infiltrating my workplace and getting people from my workplace to report to them, the team in the building, about me. Of course, they're all lies. I heard that I'm stealing from work. Mind you, I take my own supplies. When I'm fed up, things disappear from my desk. So I get tired of asking for replacements, so I buy my own. I go to Dollarama. I buy my pens. I buy my pencils. If I don't get the supplies that I need, I don't bother. Notebooks and so on, I carry one in my knapsack that I got at Dollarama for $2. There is no reason to steal anything, and there is nothing else to steal in this place other than supplies. And even the supplies are under lock and key. You only have the supplies that's on your desk. So what am I stealing? Absolutely nothing. They're lies, out and out lies. I'm not stalking anyone. What's happening is, as I said, my workplace is infiltrated, and the people in my workplace knows about this file about me that's been released, and I heard that somebody went to court to submit information about me, and I heard the file from the Toronto police, the municipal level, is in my workplace. That's portraying me as somebody who really used to be a prostitute when I wasn't, never has been, don't intend to become one anytime soon. I heard they're trying to make me one by using all kinds of different harassment techniques. This is like triggering you into reacting a certain way, like the triggered Rohini Besasar. So this is not going to happen. But my workplace is infiltrated. So I'm not stalking anyone, they're stalking me because they're providing information to the team. There's a team in the workplace that's rotating around me and is spying on me, what I eat, how many times I go to the bathroom, what I do inside the bathroom, how long I stay in the bathroom, did I have breakfast, did I have coffee, how many coffee did I have for the day, how much snacks did I have. And people around me are going to make comments on these things as I do them in the workplace. This is harassment. I'm being harassed. So, of course, I'm not soliciting anyone because I'm not a prostitute. Why would I solicit? I'm definitely not romantically interested in anyone in the workplace.